Hello, this is Erin with the Joy in Pens and Paper, and I'm doing a walkthrough of my planner evolution. There are a few planners that I didn't save because I wasn't using them in a manner that would lead to memory keeping. So when I went through my collection, the beginning was 2016, and I started with a spring cousin because I really dove into this in October of 2016. So we're going to walk through this book, and hopefully this is an enjoyable series. I do have a cup of coffee, so I will be sipping on that occasionally as I go through. So like I said, this is the spring start of the Hobonichi Cousin, and I began it in October of 2016. So I did do some decorating in this front cover. Look at my little man. He's just so handsome. Can't. Look at that smile. So I did flip through this once before beginning filming just to, I guess, acclimate myself. So one of the things that I tried out doing, and I didn't do it on the 2016 calendar, but I did do it here, is there's a little bit of highlighting, and I believe that I highlighted the dates of orientation weeks, because at the time that I was using this planner, I was in a training professional development role. And so all of my job had to do with training people and conducting orientations, which occurred about every 2 weeks, sometimes consecutive weeks. It looks like I used this page just to note some birthdays for people. And I think the ink, this is actually from a fountain pen, and I think the ink is, at that point, it was called Habanero by Noodler's, or Apache Sunset, but I believe that they've changed the name of that ink at this point. So then this, and again, I started in October, so it makes sense that this is much more filled out. So I was marking off some fitness things. So I had my mileage right here, and looking at this, I think it was the mileage data from my Apple Watch. So it was kind of my movement for the day. And then if I went on a run, I colored in this box. I still had some birthdays in here, and I totaled up my mileage at the end of the month. And then I started adding in some other workouts and some other habits like no spending, which yay me in March, that was really good. I didn't label what the pink was, but I also started running a little bit more. March was really a good month for me, looks like. And then I put some dates for the future to carry over into the next planner. These monthlies are blank because I did not have this planner in hand, but on the month that I started, looks like I tried to do some color coding here. I had red for things that had to do with the medical director who oversaw med trainings and things like that. But I also may have, actually, now that I look at it, it may be red were trainings that other people were doing. And that way I knew that they were scheduled, but not necessarily being run by myself. And I also certainly had some personal information. So I had a Gavin DeGraw concert, which was 7 years ago this past weekend. That's funny. An autism walk, a 5K. I highlighted the days that I was hosting an orientation. just saw CX-5 appointment. That's when I got my current car is a Mazda CX-5. So that's about when I got it. So that's great. Again, color coding for trainings that were done by someone else, or these are all the medical. The last page, there was one that was not a medical. I also was co-instructing graduate level courses. So I have the different assignments that I was grading on here. Nothing really different about this, just a regular calendar. And then the weeklies, I am going to fast forward because I didn't backfill this at all. I didn't use the weeklies until the point in time in which I received the planner. And so that was somewhere around the middle of October. So October 17th is the first weekly. And I had some to-do items on the side and then filled out my calendar with the lengths of time. And I think I filled this out ahead of time. I think this was forward planning. But as I flip through, you'll see that the way that I track my time changes a little bit. I tried to do some lettering, but I used a line to signal the length of time for the rows, half-hour rows. I stopped putting the to-do list on the side. I did put some articles that I needed to read, and then the to-do list came back. Here I start kind of boxing it in to put the top and the bottom lines. But I'm not really using this top line a ton. I did for the graduate class. And I started adding some day-specific to-do items down here. A little continuing that different color for trainings that were happening but were run by other people. I'm not really using it at all on the weekends, I'm noticing. And the reason I'm noticing that is I had this up top, but really this is more being used for work scheduled items. And maybe it was just my weekends weren't really that busy. Maybe that's what it was. I'm just gonna keep flipping. I do try using circles to give a place to check off. This is where I start kicking in. Yeah, so I've started using the top 3 boxes at the top here, which I think in the new Hobonichis do not have those top 3 boxes in the weekly. They added in the earlier morning hours, so. Oh, and I also started adding in the trainings that were being completed by other people. I started adding to, orienting to the left side of the column. I do have a mixture of types of pens and colors and so on and so forth. When I look at this right now, I don't love it. I then started using kind of the rounded corners and again, doing that different color for trainings that other people were holding. And then when I got this, because I got it in October, but it was an April start, I realized I had all these pages up at the front that I could use for notes pages. So this is really bullet journal style. I just started writing things down, and there's random topics, and sometimes on pages there's multiple pieces of information. And over time I start doing each page is its own topic. So for each meeting or whatnot, I would start a new page. And at this point we were looking into a couple of different outside organizations to come in and provide some services. And so I was in a lot of vetting meetings, and then we had some pilots, and so there's a lot of notes relative to that. And I actually was able to use this planner to come back to. Like I've got the cost of the pilot, the cost, things like that. But I actually, for enhanced scheduler right here, there were multiple times that I would come back to this planner to say, oh, no, enhanced scheduler can do this. We did receive this training on this day. And just spoiler alert, we never actually ended up using enhanced scheduler. And that was 2016. I was there until 2021. We never used it, even though we paid for it. We were trained on it. It was really interesting. So just continuing to flip through. These are all meeting notes. And so it's just pen and paper, and I use a variety of pens. I use fountain pens and gel pens, and I have reference information. So this to me is very much used like a bullet journal. This page right here, so I had a staff member that had completed a lot of trainings to get caught up on their training record, and there was something about the amount that that this person completed in the timeline, and it just didn't feasibly make sense. So I actually opened up and dug into the information, and so I was able to look at when they viewed it. So 10:04 and 18 seconds, but then they took the test at 10:04 and 35 seconds. So basically the employee opened it up and then immediately went to the test. And so I also did a summary of how much time they actually spent doing this and then what they submitted to get paid for. And I had to meet with this employee about the ethics, the fraudulent behavior relative to that, and make them go back and confirm that they watched all the videos and then retake the test. But I also use this as evidence for realigning our training system, and worked with the company that was hosting our training website, and put a stipulation in that the test would not become available until the length of the training video had elapsed. And then what we found was that employees were just playing the video and walking away, and then coming back when the test opened. And so then I embedded active response questions, so the video wouldn't progress until active response questions were answered correctly, and then the test wasn't available until the final question was answered correctly. And it's just fascinating that the effort that people put into skirting out on trainings, and the lack of appreciation for this is information that your employee is telling stakeholders that you have, and this is our mechanism for proving that, and yet you have skirted the system and asked to be paid for it. So this brought back a lot of emotions for me. It was fascinating. I had my son's birthday planning notes for what that's worth. But again, these are all just notes from different meetings or trainings or onboarding things. And this continues for a bit. And at one point, coming up soon, the notes stop, and now we're getting into, I see my dates up top, we're into March of 2017, which is about when this planner wraps up and it's time for the next. So And as I flip through, I do have some pages that I cut out the middle section. I must have needed to cover up at some point, or I used it for, I don't know. I don't know why I did that, but it's there. So then the next page that was used, these are all blank, was October 1st, and I tipped in some ephemera of a 5K that I did and a concert that I went to. And I probably thought I was going to fill these pages with ephemera, but I did not. But I started this on the 17th, and this causes me anxiety. I can't do this anymore. But it's some things I do like about it is I put my time-based things right here, not only appointments, but also memories, such as watching, getting dinner and watching The Giver with a friend of mine. I put some to-do items up here. I had some notes of different things that I did. I believe this was tracking my water. I put a nice quote down at the bottom for a bit, and that as I flip through, you'll see I drop off with that. But as you saw on the 15th, I went to a concert. It was Gavin DeGraw and Andy Grammer, so I did an Andy Grammer quote from a song, You Take Forever, but You're Always Worth Waiting For, which is just so cute. Andy Grammer, you're cute. So that's kind of how this, and there were also different divisions that I oversaw. So I had a children's, an adult, and a residential. So the adult is, I can see some notes right here, and adult right there. Also did things like grocery lists. I did some journaling, which I pulled in a fountain pen. And this is, I think, another Noodler's ink. I believe it was samples from Goulet pen. Don't come for me. This was before some of the whatever's going on with Noodler's. I'll be honest, I stay out of the drama, even in the fountain pen world. I have no interest in any of that. But again, still having some quotes. She builds others up because she knows what it's like to be torn down. It hurts because it matters, but I blocked off some time for different things. That I tried to do some doodling. I remember watching a lot of like Boho Berry videos at this time, as well as Coffee Monsters Co., which just to me is wild how long I've been following Helen. She was in high school when I first started following her, and at this point she was using an Erin Condren planner, and I think was in the bullet journal world as well. I also, throughout these, will start tracking some money spending, which is interesting. Faber-Castell brush pen, so I like also seeing or being reminded of the different pens that I received. Received my very first Coletto High-Tech C multi-pen with 5 inks. So that's where you start to see all these bright, bright colors come up. And it looks like I used the monthly here to do a little bit of a brain dump. I started adding some boxes to be able to check things off. I do love checking things off. Lindsay Scribbles, another YouTuber, in a recent video, she commented that, you know, she basically will do anything to check off a box, and that speaks to me so very much. I got a sample of Géran Gris Nuage, which is so interesting because I didn't realize I had actually tried that ink before. I must have used the whole sample. And then when I went to my very first fountain pen show, that was the ink bottle that I chose. And I went in knowing I wanted a gray ink that shaded really well. And that's the one I ended up getting. Oh, Trump projected to win presidency. I don't want to get into politics, but you can just see I was journaling. I stopped. So that did have an impact. That's all I'm going to say. There was a Supermoon first jet pens order, which this talks about a travel pen travel cup pen case, which I still have and I still use. So that was a good purchase. Yay me. I'm still tracking some water. I just moved it from the bottom up to the top. Oh, we were watching Westworld. That was a good series. It's also back when I used to do BFF Tuesday with a friend of mine. Every Tuesday we would get together and we would typically watch So You Think You Can Dance, but in the off season we would watch other things. Thanksgiving, made a list of things that I'm thankful for. I got a Lamy Blue Black ink. And actually this High-Tech C Coletto Blue Black ink right here, I love that color. I forgot how much I love that color. My friend received or welcomed their second dog, and my son got a fish named Halloween because it was orange and black. Our boiler had a repair and a coil. They needed a coil and a valve at our first home. Oh, and in here you can, again, I'm putting the things that I have scheduled, and I box things off, or I draw a line and do a dot. You'll see that also evolve. I'm tracking my expenses, my brain dump page at the beginning of the month, still tracking expenses, water, appointments. In the middle there, I received my first Pilot Vanishing Point pen. Yes, and that was the matte blue with an extra fine nib. I start adding in some pictures of my son every once in a while. Now this, I'm just using it, which makes sense between Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's such a busy time of year. But you can definitely see I'm not necessarily journaling or writing down memories or things like that. It's schedule and to-do list, and I am tracking water, but I believe that drops off. A little bit more pictures. This, I box some things off, and then I also do a line with a dot for maybe like a thing happened or not something that was scheduled, perhaps. We went to Museum of Science and saw the Polar Express in 4D. That was awesome. I remember that. My son just started playing with a friend, so apologies if you can hear that in the background. So I'm still mostly doing schedule and to-do items. I did document, my son went to the Polar Express in Woonsocket with my husband's family. Did some wrapping. Christmas Eve, we put our cookies and our carrots out. There's our tree. We were trying to adopt a dog, so Rough Tails came to visit our home and said we weren't good candidates because we were not stay-at-home people. There's obviously more to the story, but we do now have a dog, which was nice. And then I did start doing some journaling at the end of the holidays, and that picks back up a little bit. I much like when I use one color per page. Oh, this I did get Gerbon, was it 1679, something like that, Stormy Gray. So it's a dark gray with a gold shimmer, which this is, I was just getting into the months before this into YouTube and looking at planners and looking at fountain pens, and so at the time, this ink was a really hot ink on YouTube, and so I bought it, and then I got the accompanying Blue Ocean ink. I say accompanying because in my mind, black and blue are a pairing. Cute picture of my kid. I tried to do a little lettering. I see a little sticker here, which is so funny looking back. Not a whole lot. The end of the end of January. These are very blank. Hot yoga. I love hot yoga. My son's birthday. Did a little brain dump. I added in some quotes and boxed them off just to help them pop. I think also to take up space. It was a Super Bowl day, and typically while the Super Bowl's on, I like to do other things. So I probably was deep into YouTube world. Threw in some Post-its. Snow, yay. That peridot ring haunts me. I don't know where it went, and I want it. I'm gonna have to start looking. Here's my first Coffee Monsters Co. stickers. It's that little mom boss with a cape and hump day. And I don't know that there's any more after that. I did get, where did I see it earlier? Oh, Hobonichi order arrived right here. So clearly I got the green stencil in this order, and started using it right away with giving, I did some grading at a restaurant called Town Common. I gave it 4 stars. It just makes me laugh. I used a little side arrow right here. I used the lines with the dots, so I really embraced that stencil for a bit. I made boxes that were a little bit neater, which I do actually really like that. Rabel concert. I just saw Rabel. That's so funny. That was my at the Gavin DeGraw concert with Andy Grammer. Rabel was also at that concert, which is how I learned about him. And then this was the second time that I saw Rabel, and I believe this is the concert that I was introduced to Jesse Rubin. And if you don't know Jesse Rubin, please go listen to his music. But most importantly, go look at his We Can project. It's very impactful. I love it. I started noting the sunrise and sunset with an up and down, sun, set and rise. That's interesting. I reversed it. Huh. But that's a PM. Rise, set. There it is. There it is. That's better. Oh, I got my first Oren's 0.2 millimeter mechanical pencil, which I still have somewhere. I love that 0.2 millimeter mechanical pencil, and I ended up getting a second one in a Hobonichi order years later, or a year later, but later. I used the dots from the green stencil to start monitoring my water. I apparently found some hashtag whatnot for save all the dollars, and so I was marking that, I think, on the days that I didn't spend. I like using the mild liner for that arrow. That's cute, and the squares as well. My son and my husband. Looks like I changed ink, but it was a little bit mixed with another ink. But I like this color. I wish I knew what it was. I got another Hobonichi order. Or no, sorry, I was planning out. That's what it was. I was planning out a Hobonichi order because I put the prices of things. So I was planning an order. I'm starting to like this a little bit more. Did some lettering. I don't love that. We don't need those colors. I started putting trainings that other people were conducting, or things that weren't me, but like my husband at Honda. So I started putting those things off to the side and orienting them. And I bet you that's about the time I was orienting on my weekly as well. Beauty and the Beast, apparently I loved it. It was amazing, 5 stars. So go see it if you haven't. I used the dots with the lines and was marking in the sunset and sunrise sometimes. Added in some health items. And you can see I've like pre-planned this by adding these in, thinking I would do it every day, but that wasn't where I was at. And that brings us to the end of this planner. These notes pages are blank. Except for, so looks like when I first got the planner, I had that ladies' night, or that night with my friend. We watched The Giver. So I put that, and then Manchester by the Sea on March 18th. So at the beginning of using this planner and at the end of using this planner, I put some favorites in there. That's funny. It's interesting. And these are the pages in the back of the 2016 Hobonichi. So thank you for joining me on this walkthrough, and I will be doing a part 2 to go through the next year of my planner evolution. Bye.